What up, guys? The Jewish economy explained. I'm very, very interested in this one, guys. I've always been fascinated. We've all heard the saying the Jewish dollar circulates at least 8 times before it leaves their, uh, you know, basically their internal economy, so to say. So let's see what he has to say. This video seems very, very interesting. And instead of being mad at it, let's see if it's possible for other cultures to copy it.
Today, I'm going to be discussing the Jewish circular economy. A lot of people have said that Jewish people are good at business. Now, instead of me calling this anti Semitism, I'm going to double down and say, heck yeah, we're good at business. Let me teach you some of the secrets that we've accumulated over the past 3,000 years. This being one of the biggest and baddest secrets that we have. You're going to want to stay until the very end of this video because that's when it's going to all start to make sense. And you're going to be able to apply this not only to yourself, but your community and everybody around you. My name is Berel Solomon. If this is your first time on my page, please hit the subscribe button. Please leave me a like. Please leave me a comment so that we could be connected more often. Let's jump in. The Jewish
Okay.
circular economy. Let me explain to you how this works. So there's a few core businesses that Jewish people are involved in. Let me first explain to you what type of businesses we go into. So one is it's a business that has to make a lot of money. To be Jewish, it's expensive. I myself, thank God, have 5 kids, and hopefully I'll have more than 5 more. It's expensive to be a Jew, and we need to make a lot of money. So that's number one.
This one I can relate on with this guy. My background, I'm from West Africa. Secondly, I'm a Fulani. Okay, so Fulanis typically makes ish lot of kids. If I tell you guys how many children my dad had, I promise you will not believe me. So indeed, even in my own culture, typically you have to make money. So historically we brag about cattles. In order to be a man, you got to have a lot of cattles, real estate. So it's like, it's just, it is what it is. So I can relate to what he just said here, but that was funny though.
Whatever business we go into has to be lucrative. Number two, it has to be moral. It is very rare, if ever. Actually, I can almost
And yes, I do want a lot of kids too. I already have daughters, so, and I'm barely warming up.
guarantee this. You will never find an Orthodox Jewish man in the strip club business. Yes, it makes a lot of money, but it is not a moral business. Let's talk about some businesses that do make a lot of money and are moral. So let's just talk about like real estate, for example. Okay. Let's call real estate one of the core businesses. So here's the circular economy explained. So a Jewish man gets a real estate deal.
Mm.
Let's call it 200 units in the Bronx, okay, somewhere, right? And he buys the deal. First of all, the deal most likely is probably coming from a Jewish broker or one of his other Jewish friends in the real estate business. So once he secures that deal, he needs to go finance that deal. So who's the first logical person for him to pick up the phone to? A Jewish friend that is in finance, right? There's Jewish people that own banks, there's Jewish mortgage brokers, there's Jewish lenders out there. He's going to pick up the phone and he's going to call his buddy that he sees in synagogue every day because his buddy knows that he's a good guy, he trusts him, and he knows that if spit hits the fan, he knows exactly where he sits, exactly where his house is, exactly who to talk to make sure he could get through to him. So Jewish businessman is going to buy the piece of real
It's funny that he says that because I've seen this myself within my culture growing up. So my dad was well known. He's, one of those, like, I guess, respected people within our community, at least back home. And so when I was a kid, I always noticed if somebody owe money to somebody else, right? They will always come to my dad, and then my dad basically will go find the person that owed the money to the other person, bring them all, to our household, and they're gonna sit down and talk. He might even call all the wise old folks to come and talk to all of them, and basically try to not only squash, okay, whatever is going on with them, whatever beef is going on with them, but also make sure that the person that owe the money pay, or they help them pay, whatever. Like, so I cannot relate to exactly what he's saying right now, but it's just sad to see that within the black culture, this is something that is completely lost.
estate. He's going to want to finance it with one of his Jewish buddies. And now he's going to have to service that piece of real estate, right? There's snow removal, there's cleaning supplies, there's construction that's going to need to be done. All of those, he's going to try to hire Jewish people and Jewish companies in order to try to fulfill this. And I'm going to explain to you all why. It's going to make sense to you, like I said, by the end, but you got to stick to the end.
You're already making
So
sense to
now
me.
he's hired his buddies to do the construction, like I said, to do the remodeling, to do the construction supplies, whatever it is. He's going to try to hire Jewish. And now those companies, so for example, like as I mentioned, the construction company, right? Construction, that construction company also needs services. The construction company needs accountant, it needs advertising, it needs office space, it needs all types of ancillary services. So even the the direct services to the real estate, the supporting service, right? The construction company, we're just using one of them for example, he's going to try to hire Jewish people to do his indirect services. He's going to hire a Jewish business accountant. He's going to try to hire a Jewish lawyer. He's going to try to rent his office space from his buddy Shlomo, who
You
owns
have
the office
everything.
building right next to his synagogue. You see what I mean? He's going to try to give that business to those people.
Wow.
And by the way, all the while, all of these people, all along the way, guess what they're all doing? Circular economy. They're taking tithes, they're taking at least 10% of their earnings, of their profits, and they're pushing it down to charity. So that means, and by the way, their own charities, their own synagogues, their own schools, their
Crazy.
own food banks, their own disability centers. Why? Because they want to create this circular economy. Now, let me tell you why. You might be watching it this far, and you might say to yourself, how is it fair? Why is it okay that they can do this, that we can do this? First of all, not only is it okay, but you're going to understand why and how you could apply this to yourself and your community going forward. So let me give you some reasons why a circular economy
Why would somebody be mad at this instead of copying it? Please tell me. Why would somebody be mad at this instead of copying it? I just want to know.
is good for you. So number one is, this is probably the biggest one, trust. Everybody in this circle, okay? If he has a problem with, let's say the real estate guy has a problem with the company that's supplying to him his supplies, his cleaning supplies for his building, and he has a dispute, right? So he ordered $10,000 worth of garbage bags. The garbage bags turned up faulty. Now they have a problem. So he knows, the real estate operator knows that if he has a problem with any of the people that he's doing business with, because they are Jewish, they have common friends, they have common rabbis, they have common associates, and they will be embarrassed to screw each other. They won't mess each other up because they go to synagogue with each other. They go to school, their kids go to school with each other, right? So they're going to be very careful in order to treat each other with respect and dignity. So trust is the number one thing. Here's another thing.
The last name. I can so relate to this. In my culture, when I was a kid, I used to remember like I used to wonder why do they always say do not basically bring shame on the last name, the family's last name, everything. It doesn't matter what you're doing, whether that be trying to get married. No, don't marry that woman. You'll bring shame to the last name of the family. Do not steal. You'll bring shame to the last name of the family. Do not divorce. You'll bring shame to the. So it's a thing. You'll bring shame to the last name. It meant so much. So I can definitely relate to exactly what it's saying. It make absolute perfect sense, even though here we're talking about a whole community, not just like just one specific tribe, or like basically you're talking about a whole race, right?
They think the same,
Yeah,
okay?
makes sense.
A lot of times, I'll get on the phone with people from different cultures. I remember when I was the vice president of my college, and I remember people think different. We had somebody who represented the LGBT community. We had somebody who represented the African American community. We had somebody who
Yeah,
represented the Chinese community in the school. We had the evangelical community. All of us came to the table. We were trying to make policies, and I remember we all thought very different. We all had different priorities. So they're creating this circular economy. Why? Because they think the same. And then number three is because they're a big family. We are a big family, right? So it makes sense that you should want to see the people around you succeed. It makes sense that you should want to give the business to your brother, to your neighbor, to your cousin, to your uncle. Why? Because we are taught in Judaism, and I see a lot of communities, they don't understand this.
This is such spot on. Specifically because I'm black, I'm going to speak about the black culture. When it comes to the black culture, our number one problem is instead of having a vested interest to see our brothers and sisters and cousins succeed, we typically want to flex on them. What that means is if I'm driving a BMW or a Ferrari, instead of wanting to see my brother and my sister of the same race drive even a better car or at least the same, okay, or have the same mansion or the same house or the same type of apartment, I just want to come and flex in front of them and show them what I have and how little they have. This is a culture that is basically being, propagated, 100x by obviously the music industry, which is not a surprise. But is a whole is a psyop, an absolute psyop. You should have, just as a good human, you should have a vested interest. If you're doing well, you should be wanting to see other people from your community also do well. You should have a vested interest. So I mean, I don't know. So I'm sorry, I cannot hate on this.
And they have to get better at this. We want to see each other succeed. We want to see each other grow because we understand. Check this out, and it's all going to start to make sense, right? I told you to watch to the end. We understand that if we're all doing well,
Mm.
the excess flow of all this money gets pushed down back into the community charities. So when my neighbor, my Jewish neighbor does well and he's making a lot of money, and he now is going to donate that money to my kid's school, right? Let's say that's one of his charities, right? He's going to donate that money to my kid's school. That's good for me. My kid's going to have new whiteboards, new blackboards. He's going to have new equipment, new gyms, new whatever it is. So I want to push money and I want to push business towards people in my economy, in my community. Why?
Absolutely.
Because my community directly benefits. And when my community is doing good, I benefit from that doing good. So this is not unique, by the way, to the Jewish community. I don't care what sect you're from. I don't care what religion, what race. Everybody could establish
100%.
this circular community. I hope this.
100%. I mean, listen, you must be a complete moron to disagree with this. I don't know if everything he just said here is true, if he's absolutely like that. One of the things you have to admire about these people as well is the, cultural secrecy that they have. A lot of them, even if things are going wrong within the community, they don't go outside of the community and start gossiping about the community. It stays within the community and they solve that problem internally, right? Contrary to us, is a complete. I mean, listen, guys, let me know what your thoughts are. Is this true? Is this really? Do you have Jewish friends that can confirm this? But I mean, there's absolutely nothing that he said here that I could disagree. I wish I had the same to say when it comes to black culture, and I could find, somewhere to plug myself into, because I know how hard it was for my team and I to even find a black mentor when we started going into real estate new development, which we do now. But it was so tough to find just a black mentor willing to mentor us. So tough. We had to give up. We literally had to give up. And it's a sad thing to say, but it's absolutely the truth. Right? All right, guys, leave a comment, smash that like button. I'll see you guys on the next reaction video. Boom, boom, boom.